Hi, this is Conrad Zimmerman of FistShark Marketing, reminding you that you can help support our weird show with a small monthly contribution through Patreon. For less than a book of Dadaist poetry, you can Robot Avenue _ Plank Arsenic. Just visit patreon.com/FistShark or click the big Patreon button at fistshark.com for more details. And thanks for listening.
Well, that was a hell of a press conference.
Did not see that coming.
We should have seen that coming. We represent him.
Well, we knew he'd been working on the project for 6 months in planning. I'm surprised. I didn't think he'd take Transformers in that direction, I guess.
Yeah, it's bold. It's bold.
It is. It's bold.
The press conference ended only 3 minutes ago, and my phone's been ringing off the hook. To the point where I left it quite literally off the hook because I don't like talking to anyone. And then I hid in here. But I don't know how to deal with this. These are kids' movies, for a start. So when Michael Bay goes up to issue news about the next Transformers movie, and then just says, while staring directly at the camera, catch this heat. This time the robots are just gonna straight fucking bone down. I don't know what to tell the general public about that. I mean, did he have to say it like that? Like, he was very aggressive. That's something people are confused about. Is he angry that he's doing this?
Well, I mean, I almost feel like he must be, like, because there was never any sort of suggestion in any of the prior films that the robots ever even did engage in some sort of sexual congress, right?
It certainly, I mean, there were some edgy jokes for the adults, but there was never any sign that Optimus Prime and Starscream, in Michael Bay's words, would finally get their shafts out and bugger each other senseless till Tuesday.
Right. I never got a will they, won't they sense anywhere from this film series. And I have to wonder if maybe he's just frustrated. Like, maybe he thinks people don't appreciate the movies and all they've really wanted is to watch the robots get jiggy.
I mean, until we can actually get Michael Bay on a call and ask him what the hell he's doing, we can only go by what he said. And I just get this sense that he thinks we've all wanted this and that he didn't want to give it to us. Or maybe he's just really excited. It's hard to tell with Michael Bay. You can only really tell by what he's saying because he doesn't inflect very well.
Right.
So when he gets up there and immediately starts a press conference with, let's cut to the fucking chase. From now on, the robots are gonna bone. I don't know what to make of that. Were we all asking for that? I don't necessarily want to see it. I don't want to know what Bumblebee's testicles look like, but in Michael Bay's own words, finally we will see what Bumblebee's fucking balls look like.
Yeah, it was never something that I wanted to see in a Transformers film. And you're right, these are really aimed at kids for the most part. And so I can't understand where he'd even get the impression that this was something that we would want to see. But it's very, very clear that I agree with him in that he shouldn't have done it. It just seems like a bad move for the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, one of the big strengths of Michael Bay's Transformers movies is that they're huge box office draws. And a movie theatre is not going to show what Michael Bay has promised. When he put that microphone in his mouth, quite literally inside of his mouth, and said as best as he could, "You all want Megatron's cock up ya." Most of the people were just stunned into silence, as was I. I don't think it was a very good press conference.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all.
I mean, if you're going to announce a dramatic shift, you could probably make an actual event around it. You could maybe give us a trailer. You don't call a press conference of about 30 people in a room that's small even for them, and just say to this very intimate gathering with one webcam running, the Transformers are going to fuck from now on and we all have to deal with that.
I don't know. I think the most confusing thing about the whole shift in the storyline is the introduction of the new robots that serve solely for the purpose of being genitalia for the Transformers.
The fuckbots.
Yeah, the fuckbots. Now, those take the form of common sexual implements in the real world, and then transform into massive robot dongs by coming together.
I don't think he thought it through. Because, you know, I'll give him this. Calling the bad guy ones Decepticocks was clever.
Sure.
Calling the good guy ones autoerotic asphyxiation bots was a stretch, and also has nothing to do with dongs, which is all they're concerned with.
Why wouldn't you have called them the Autodongs?
Like, anything. That would have worked. I haven't got a second. But I'm sure that could have worked as well.
Yeah, I think just about anything would have worked better than the autoerotic asphyxiation robots.
Someone in the audience asked, like, where that came from. Like, are we going to see any of the robots engage in that sort of thing? And then he said, no, just pure, unadulterated, bareback fucking.
Well, that's good, because, I mean, while I'm pretty sure I would expect Soundwave to be into that shit, yeah, I think there does need to be a line.
There does need to be a line. You can't just rename anything you want to any vague sexual act and call that clever wordplay.
No.
They're very specifically genitals. They are very specifically robot genitals. If you're going to name them something, they really should be named after robot genitals. They can't be named after an unrelated kink act.
The designs, though, are, at least it's inventive. I'll give them that. I would not have imagined a jar of coconut oil that transforms into a robot. I wouldn't have seen it coming.
No, not at all, not at all. Some of those transformations are clever. Some of them are questionable. Again, I don't want to talk about the fuckbots too much. I don't want this to be a fuckbot heavy morning, okay? But why do they look like normal robots when they're robots? But after they transform, they are realistic to the point of being hyper-realistic. Textured, detailed, fleshy penises.
Throbbing. I mean,
yeah, like we're talking like pulsating like a snake that swallowed an egg.
Right, this isn't an electric hum that you would sort of expect from a robot thing. This is a very sort of fleshy pulsing that it does.
Yes, and they're quite distinctly leaking prey.
Yeah. Oh, and veiny as hell.
Some of the veiniest cocks I've ever seen. Like I said, they looked more real than real.
You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen that movie Akira?
Yes, I have. One of the finest romantic comedies of its generation.
The arm thing. That's what they remind me of. Just big, fleshy, bulbous, throbbing, veiny. Oh my god.
And look, I'm not a prude.
No, far from it.
I don't want to see Ironhide with a fleshy, pulsating, pre-cum leaking dong.
Who's fucking who, too? That's the thing that really concerns me. Because there's a whole lot of established canon in the Transformers universe. And I'm worried that he's going to really play around with that too much and piss off the fans by taking it in this direction.
Right. I mean, you know, going back to the Optimus Starscream will they, won't they situation. Like, I mean...
No, they wouldn't.
Absolutely. They're on different sides of the war. And, you know, maybe I could believe a Romeo and Juliet situation if there was any hint of that beforehand. But as we've already said, these robots are distinctly non-sexual.
Oh, yeah.
They're more concerned about fighting and Cybertron and Energon and other things that end in on. All except Get It On, which until now they showed no interest in, but Michael Bay has made quite clear that's all they think about now.
Well, but and besides that, I mean, I guess where Starscream is concerned, I always thought that he was going to be more of a firefight guy or into skydive, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense he'd fuck the people he hangs around with. If you're up in the sky with a bunch of plain robots, then if you have to fuck, and
apparently you do.
Yeah, well, it's what Michael Bay said. Make no mistake, these robots all have to fuck now. If you do have to do that, then you'd probably fuck the ones that you're with a lot. Starscream and Optimus Prime don't really interact all that much.
No.
I mean, if anything, at the very least, I'd expect some sort of sub-dom relationship between him and Megatron. But as far as Michael Bay's clued us in, Megatron and Starscream will have nothing to do with each other. No sexual contact at all.
Well, maybe there's some sort of jilted lover angle in there that'll flesh out this. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to say flesh out. Just thinking about now. I'm thinking about the robot dogs again. It's.
I mean, all of this is academic because when someone brought up continuity and universe building and story, he got quite irate and said, "What is it about this that you're not getting? The robots are fucking all of the time. Stop asking so many goddamn questions."
We're gonna have to change the name, though. Like, we're gonna have to change the name of the movie. And not only is it just inconsistent with what's come before, it leaves nothing to the imagination. You know, I mean, you look at the other titles of the movies, Dark Side of the Moon, or
Age of Extinction.
Yeah, there you go. Like, they're evocative, but they're vague at the same time. It could mean anything. But Transformers, this time the robots bone down, 2 straight. It's plenty of 2 straight.
So, what do you reckon, we workshop the title?
Yeah, I mean, he's already spent a ton of money on effects and, like, the movie's mostly made. I think we're gonna have to go with it.
Okay, how about this? Transformers, this time the robots bone down, ... question mark.
But he said very, very explicitly in the conference that they are going to bang. So I kind of feel like the question mark, no one's gonna buy that. Now, okay, here we go. I've got it. Transformers. Thrust at the stars.
Yeah, that'll get us out of this bit. So I got done talking with the promoter, and he gave me his reasoning for what he did, but it's not really flying over with the fans. The audience are still really upset about what happened at the show last night, and I don't know what the problem is. Currently, we just do some marketing for these folks. I don't really understand the business. I'm not really a fan of wrestling. It's fake, isn't it?
As far as I know, it's all scripted and pre-planned, and, you know, it's basically a soap opera from what my understanding is.
You'd think as a marketing expert I'd be a fan, but it never really gelled with me despite how fake it was. So that was always an issue, cracking into the business. But I thought that having this progressive, forward-thinking, all-women's wrestling league would be a good thing.
I thought people would be attracted to that, right? Because, I mean, what's better than, you know, a little hair pulling, a little running around in circles, throwing people. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the wrestling thing at all, if I'm totally honest with you. It's just, it seems kind of not needlessly violent, because I think we need violence in entertainment in general. I mean, that's key. But
there isn't such a thing as unjustified violence, I don't think. I've not seen a case of it.
No, but at the same time, like, when you know it's fake, I think maybe that takes some of the shine away from it. Like, the whole point of putting forth fake entertainment is that people think it's real.
Yeah. I must admit, I wanted to see knives.
Sure.
If I'm quite honest, I wanted to see blades out there, but there was a lot of rolling and flipping, and it was really impressive athletic ability. You know, the people doing backflips onto each other and
they're practically acrobats, which, you know, at their size is really impressive.
It's all impressive to look at. I just don't get it, which might explain why there was so much booing at the end that I just couldn't comprehend why people were. They were thrilled for most of the evening. It was a huge draw. Gate numbers apparently did really well, but all women wrestling, despite being a huge draw and a massive commercial success and entertaining the fans for 3 solid hours, had everyone jeering at the end and throwing trash into the ring, all because apparently they didn't like who won. That's the thing that got me, is if they don't like who wins, they trash the place. And it looked like a perfectly acceptable win. He hit her with that move, whatever it was, held the head and fell back and it hit the mat and it all looked very dramatic. He flipped her over, put his hands on her shoulders. The referee counted 1, 2, 3, and there he was, the Maximum Man, as the new AWW champion.
I don't understand why. Maybe this is just a thing about the internal community, the fan base, that, you know, that if the person that they don't like wins, that gets them angry. I mean, isn't that supposed to be part of the drama? Aren't you supposed to have these heel characters that you despise that occasionally win, so that the what do they call them? The face?
The face of it. Yeah, like I think that's named after the A-Team or something, because face was the most popular one. But that's a normal part of wrestling. I've seen in other shows the bad guy one beat the good guy one. And even though people boo, it's all in the spirit of the thing, right? It's all in good fun.
Right.
Here, people were genuinely angry. Crowds, I could hear them as we were all leaving. I could hear muttering about things being undermined, that it was some sort of sexist joke that was being played on the audience, trolling. I just don't get it. It looked like a regular match to me.
Yeah.
The Maximum Man pinned whatever her name was, and then he got the belt. And now is the face of the all-women's wrestling. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get it. So I got a hold of the commissioner. I got a hold of Vance McMugshot, and he explained to me that it was all about building the belt up. It's something they do in the business, where, because it's a brand new world title, he just said to me, well, we had a man win it to establish credibility, quite frankly. And I guess that makes sense. I mean, Maximum Man was very muscular.
He was a fit guy, very bulky.
Oh yeah. McMugshots made sure to emphasize that on the phone. He said muscles a lot, to the point of screaming at one point.
Maximum Man, he had to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 times the body mass of what was her name? Doesn't matter, not important. He won. That's what matters, right?
He won the belt. I mean, that's I remember the champions.
Right.
I don't know a lot about wrestling, but I know that they stand on the turnbuckle and hold the belt up. And was that the problem? Was the turnbuckle wonky? Did people not like the turnbuckles?
I don't know. I can't even... what's not to like about a turnbuckle? I mean, it is just sort of a post with the ropes attached to it. It's not... a turnbuckle's a turnbuckle. It's hard to imagine that would be the problem.
I was just looking in the ring at what could have set people off. I saw the belt, which looked majestic. I saw the Maximum Man, who looked majestic holding it. I saw whoever lying there on the floor, defeated. I saw the referee holding up Maximum Man's arm. And then I saw the turnbuckles and thought it might be the turnbuckles.
Maybe the issue is that they didn't sort of rise to the occasion, the turnbuckles. Everything else was so glorious and majestic in that ring.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting match because as well as having 200 pounds on his opposition, he also had that brick.
Yeah, that's not how I thought you would use a brick for violence. Like, he's creative. I gotta give Maximum Man that. I didn't think, like, I wouldn't have gone for breaking toes with it.
No.
That's a club over the head move, but he just came right in, took that brick, and slammed it straight down on her feet.
Well, that was the mistake that What's-Her-Face made when she did get the brick and hit him over the head with it, because, of course, there was that special rule that Maximum Man gets to wear a football helmet. So it was just a waste of a brick. It just dusted. It dusted on the helmet. He had another brick.
And then there went her other foot. I mean, it was just... I can actually, the more we talk about this, I can start to see the commissioner's point there in terms of credibility. Because, I mean, when you look at the balance between the two people competing, I mean, it's not even a fair comparison, right? I mean, over here we have a genuine wrestling phenom, right? A man's man. And then we have whatever her name was.
Yeah, very talented.
Sure, yeah.
Very beautiful and such a talent.
Acrobatic, able to move off of those ropes like you wouldn't believe. I mean, as evidenced by how Maximum Man just sort of casually threw her into the audience that time.
Yeah. And even knowing it was scripted, she did such a good job of making it believable. At one point, yelling, I hate that this has to happen. You know, clearly a reference to the beating she was taking in character. She did have that faux English accent as part of her whole character. And she did sound distinctly more American when she yelled that bit. But otherwise, I was believing that she was in great distress and very annoyed that she was losing to Maximum Man, who she kept calling Tim, I think, and was like, Tim, you realise this is bullshit. But of course, he just held the brick up in front of the crowd and went, "Rawr, rawr!" And everyone booed because he was such a good heel.
I mean, even the guys at the Spanish announcers table were excited by this. They got it. I mean, I couldn't understand anything that they were saying.
Well, no, they were speaking German.
Right, but they seemed to be into it.
Well, I think they were happy because this is the only wrestling event I've ever seen. Admittedly, not many, but it's the only wrestling event I've ever seen where the Spanish announce table didn't get smashed up.
Well, that's true.
Because they normally they always get smashed up.
Mm-hmm.
Because the American announcers bully the Spanish ones. I think that's a part of a wrestling tradition. Stems way back to the 1800s.
That they're just needlessly cruel to the Spanish announcers?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say needlessly. They do need to do it to uphold a noble tradition.
Sure.
What I want to know is who in the audience had the lawn dart? Because that's what really kicked things off into high gear. I think that's the moment you could pinpoint the riot.
Yeah, I think that's when things took a turn. You're right. Like, it was kind of seeming like it could just be good-natured jeering, but once that lawn dart was thrown into the ring...
Yeah, well, we say into the ring. I mean, it was aimed at the Maximum Man, which had people cheering briefly, but then he held the belt up, deflected the lawn dart, smashed the women's belt into a million tiny pieces, which got the audience more upset again. But then they got super pissed off when the lawn dart, it turned out, had deflected and got the, whatever her name was, in the hand.
Yeah, and just, like, pinned it to the mat, which is kind of ironic considering what just happened.
Well, when Vance came out and pointed and laughed and said how ironic it was, that's when the fire began.
Yeah. How many people got stuck in there? Because I know there's only like 4 exits out of the arena, and the doors aren't that wide. I guess on the plus side, most of the people who were upset probably didn't get out, right?
Well, let's not look at who didn't make it out, because that's just very bad to think about. Let's focus on the fact that Maximum Man got out okay.
That's true. Because that could have been a disaster. The last thing you want is to lose your new worldwide heavyweight champion.
That would destroy the promotion.
The major focal point for the AWW, at least for the foreseeable future.
He kind of has to be after the fire. He's the only wrestler they have.
Is that true? They lost them all.
Yeah. But we still have the champion. We don't have a belt. We have several melted former shards. They're not sharp anymore. And we kind of duct taped that to just a regular looking leather belt we found outside the arena. I think it was sloughed off during the fighting outside.
But they still have the champion, so at least there's something that they can rebuild on.
Yeah. Vance has gotten in touch with quite a few local wrestlers, and he said he is very excited about all the boys he's bringing in.
When life gives you lemons, right? You hire some more male wrestlers.
Yeah. Very, very white ones.
So, when's the next event, then?
I don't know, tomorrow?
FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling and Conrad Zimmerman. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alazar Chan. Our editor is Austin Yorsky. Get more episodes and learn how to support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, nobody gets out alive. Goodbye.